Oh, hang on, I got tea. It's 43 degrees, but it's bloody warm. Whatever the case. G'day and welcome to part 49 on the XC Falcon restoration. Now, cutting corners now. There's a few reasons for that. Well, there's two main reasons why I'm starting to cut corners. I'm cutting corners on the stuff that I can revisit later. The reason is, one, I started this car in, I think, July 2015. And it's now about to click over to 2020. The car's been going on too long. I've taken other projects in the meantime. I've done this car incorrectly in that I'm still painting bits and pieces. It should have all been painted as one, fitted up, all the gaps sorted out, so forth, blown apart, painted, all this. And I haven't been able to do it like that because of space. So for a long time the doors were under the house and I sort of did two doors at a time, and I've just done the boot lid, and it's the wrong way to do it. You know it, I know it, but what can you do? In the circumstances I've got. I would need a garage this size just to do one car, to do it properly, if you know what I mean, in terms of that sort of stuff. So I haven't done it really the way I first thought I would when I got the car. And the space constraints are just, that's what happens when you get projects and you don't want to sell them. Now, the other reason is that I've got some financially pressing stuff coming up, so I haven't got the money for doing things like bumper bars, which are like, one guy quoted me $1,000 to get them done. The rear bumper's not perfect, but I put it on anyway. That's one of those things, a couple of bolts, take it off, get it done later if I want to, if it bothers me. The XW, I got the front one done because it was all twisted. I couldn't avoid that, so I did it. The rear one I didn't. I had to save some money. I got to a figure on that car and I just thought, you know what, it's getting too expensive. So I used the old bumper, and it wasn't perfect, but at the end of the day, I don't even see it. I don't look at it. It doesn't bother me. If stuff on this bothers me, I'll get back to it. And the door handles are another thing too, where I have to get a set of door handles because I don't like the non-genuine ones. The non-genuine ones will do for now. They'll open the doors, they'll close the doors. They're on the car. There's no holes in the side, so we're good. I really just want to get the car finished and roadworthy, and that's the reason I've taken this line. In this video, there's also bits on the armrests. Now, these are being recoloured, and I've used an untraditional way of cleaning them because I had a lot of trouble with the stigma and some of the other stuff I've painted in the past. The XW armrest was another one where I had fish eyes. I've cleaned these a different way. I've spent a bit of time on that and explained how I did it, because some of the plastics in the car do have to be fitted or have to be painted in order to match it all properly. I can't put the rest of the plastics in at the moment because I'm waiting on I haven't sent them away yet, the seat belts to be re-webbed, the front ones. Once they've been re-webbed, all the B-pillar trims can go in, the kick trims can go in, the scuttle plates can go in for the last time, all that sort of stuff. So I've just got to get them done, and then the interior is pretty much done aside from the console. Now I've also included the Starley's front guard. The Starlet's got a whole lot of delamination going on one of the front guards. It's been painted quite poorly. And I've used the ISO-free 2-pack one. I think in the Christmas video we painted the thing in acrylic, and I've used ISO-free 2-pack over the top of it. The idea of that was I don't want to have to buff it. It comes off the gun beautifully shiny, of course, and then dries like that, and it looks great. The only problem is it's actually completely the wrong colour because the car's faded in so many ways, all on the top edges and on the sides and on the rounded parts, that it's going to look odd if I put it on. I thought I could get away with it, but I probably can't. Now, when I did that, I did everything wrong, right? There's dirt and dust all over the floor. There's no filter paper. There's nothing. I've just absolutely rushed it and gone through, which I think is quite funny watching it back. You can tell that there wasn't much love put into it. But whatever the case, I've included that for those that want to maybe look at using those sorts of products on their cars. I think with the acrylic stuff, you'll see with the boot, it's very satin in finish. Acrylic obtains its shine mechanically, so you're wet sanding it, you're buffing and this sort of stuff. With the ISO free, you can just leave it straight off the gun and you've got a nice shiny paint job. A lot of people will quite like, and it's good to use. It's nice and easy and it's good to use. When you use it though, you can't load it up. And with the acrylic I've used on the XC, I've really loaded it up. I was doing it in hot weather, used a retarder, and you can actually load it up quite a lot. You can do slow passes. It gives you a lot of room for wet sanding later on, but you can't do that with the ISO free. You've actually got to just do your passes and get out of there, wait for it to flash off, give it a second coat. So bits and pieces in this one. The back of the car is pretty much done. I've got a wet sand and buff the boot. Then I can put badges on, got to get a stainless trim for the boot, that sort of stuff. But at the end of the day, the car is moving along quite well. So, with that being said, I hope you enjoy. Time to have a look at the XC. Haven't dug this little guy up for a while. Let's just walk around here. Got a lot of bits and pieces to get ready for recolouring. This is easy work. Just got to clean all this stuff up and do a repair on this for the power windows. The back securing part isn't all right. This, things like B-pillar trims, that's easy enough. Just got to wash these really thoroughly because of all the fish eyes I found on the Sigma. It's bound to be just as bad or worse on this. Nice. Kick trims. I've got to get one of these. If anyone knows where I can get a good one of these, this is the right-hand kick trim. If I go to the parts place, I probably want $1 million, but this one's all sort of busted away. So if anyone knows where I can get one of those, that'd be great. Dog leg trims. These are ZH Fairlane, or no, P6 LTD. The Falcon ones will be a lot sort of slimmer, so I might even just trim them. And what do I drop down here? Oh, another one. Come on, get off. Right. Okay. So I think we should start on that stuff. Get that done. And hook into this boot lid. Whoops, deck lid, whatever you want to call it. That needs to be done and put on the car sooner than later. This is another example of things that annoy me, where they've used a grinder. This was I think the same car as the doors, but not the original one that came with the vehicle, if you know what I mean. And I was annoyed with the car because they used a grinding disc to get rid of paint in the engine bay. This clown's done the same thing in that those radiuses are hexed, if you can see what I mean. They're sort of run across with the grinder and done this business, which is ridiculous. I don't know why they didn't use a chemical stripper. Not as great as I want, although rust-wise it's great. So we got dents in here, we've got raised bits there, you probably can't see it. There's a big friggin' high spot there, which I've got to get rid of. And even where that feels terrible there, there's something going on there. And also where they've punched in the holes for the badges. I've got to sort of hammer and dolly those out and get them straight as I can. And the forward badges, this is a pre-update, well, it's a pre-update car, but I'm just using a forward badge over there. And the Fairmont GXO one here. And I've got to also find, I don't know where to get one, the boot trim that goes across here, where you've got the black underneath. I've got this one here, the lower one, but I haven't got the one that goes there. The other thing on the XC, this is pretty much as you saw it. Last time we ran a video on this, we ran the car and it sounded really nice and all the rest of it. I've also got to paint the side, or what do you call it, the interior trims and the, what's it called, armrests as well, because when I get in here, just gonna be careful when I open it, don't hit my motorbike. We've got to put the plastic behind here. We've got to we've wired up the power windows, but I need to plug them into the looms, put the plastic behind here, secure the door trims properly with a fitting kit, which I haven't got yet, and put the weather strips on. And then they can be buttoned up properly, armrests on, power window switches there, we're good. It'll all be, the interior will be finished sooner than later. So this is something I'm very excited about. Right, well I bet you prime these. Bodywork, it needs to be bodywork. These are the bonnet scoops for the XC, see there? And on the edge here, that's in the casting. Now I redid these because there was paint stripper used on them. One was orange and one was blue or something. And never got to finishing them. So I had to sort of rub them back and re-edge them. I think this nostrils are alright. The XC I'm fussy with because it really is a lovely restoration. It's not a slap happy one like some of the things I've done. The drawer handles. I don't like those. They're the aftermarkets. We've got these ones and they're crap. These are genuine, but look at that. I mentioned in another video, I'm not sure if you saw this, a lot of people who watch XC videos don't watch the motorbike ones and so forth, but there's slight lines through there. Can you see them? Yes, you can. I can see it through the camera. That's an issue because if I fill that in here, or at least bodywork those bits and just have a thin line which is filled and sanded back, it's still going to look terrible because they're all up here as well. And I'm not going to bother. So as much as I hate those on the door handles, they can stay for now. I will change them eventually when I come across some good ones, some good original ones. But for now, that's what we've got. Okay, reacquainting ourselves with the XC. I've been looking at these armrests, and we've got to recolour some of this stuff. What I was confused about, and I did work on this car a long time ago, and I've forgotten how all this stuff goes. Now, power window switches, I tested, I think they're okay. We have to clean them up, contact spray, all that sort of other stuff, right? The front and rear switches go in, or at least are installed in a different way. There are people that sell these blanks, or these fascia plates if you like, so that's all good. I'll get some new ones of those. Having said that, I only saw the rear ones, haven't seen the front ones yet. The rear ones are secured, and I just wanted to make sure I could remember how all this went. So these rear ones are sort of secured in a funny sort of way, in that they've got a locating clip at the front. Oops. Like that, and they're screwed in the heel of the back. So that's all good. I'm not too worried about that, although I did lose the screw. I don't know where it's gone. And the switch itself is just got a couple of plastic tangs, which I've probably just broken one. And you have to sort of stick it in the down or up position to get the thing out. It's a bit of a nuisance. Now, whatever the case, no, they're right, they're fine. Whatever the case, that's alright. Did I take the screw out? I don't know what to do with the screw. It should be around somewhere. Should I drop it off the bench? It'll turn up. It'll be good. So basically what we've got to do is clean these up, and they're dreadful. There's a lot of that stickiness. That's the goop they put behind the plastic thing to seal the door off. So aside from that, that's actually not in bad nick. It looks dreadful, but it's not in bad nick. The other rear one is pretty much the same story, so we can clean those up and do something about them. Now, the fronts on the other hand are secured with 4 screws, which is easy. There's no heel clip or anything like that. There's provision for an ashtray and a cigarette lighter, I beg your pardon. LTDs had cigarette lighters and ashtrays. Again, fairly simple switch. It's sealed, so we can just get in there with a nozzle and just clean it out with some contact spray. I use the stuff from J-Car, it's great. And that armrest is another one where all 4 piers are in good nick. And that's another one that can be tackled, cleaned up and tackled. The driver's one, which is the one that's going to have the most duress on it because it's the one that's most frequently used, we've got a problem where the rear pier here is actually broken. The 2 front bits are alright, it's just a plastic frame, but the rear's not. And we don't want it flapping around like that, that's going to look awful. But there's a ledge there. I can just put a strip of steel there and just secure it so it sandwiches in like that, and that's going to be alright. Again, we've got to check all these. That's your lock and your 4 windows, and we're good. Again, we have to get that thing. This one did have a split somewhere, or at least I think it did. Maybe I'm imagining things. Oh, that's got a little one there. That's going to move around. I might leave that. Oh, there's one there, and we can use a small bit of bumper filler in there. It's not going to be perfect, but at the end of the day, I don't want something with splits in it if I can avoid it. I don't think there's too much else I can do. It is a bit misshapen. But this is one of the problems I've had with this XC restoration in terms of parts are available for them. Because there are a lot of these cars around. And particularly with Fairlanes and LTDs being sacrificed for their drive lines, you do see armrests and this sort of stuff coming up for sale, or at least becoming available. But people want $1 million for this stuff, and it's not worth it. The problem I've got in recolouring this stuff is non-adhesion, or fish eyes, where you hit it with paint, it just leaves dots where it's rejected all over the place, and that is going to happen. Yeah. Now, when it was newer, there's a good chance it was hit with some sort of trim cleaner or preservative, if you know what I mean, and quite often they have silicone in them, and that will stay there and stop anything adhering to. So we've got to clean out all that grain area. If we hit that with Prepsol or panel wipe, all that's going to do is spread it around, and you'll still get your fish eyes. So we need to clean these properly before we make any attempt at hitting them with paint. The paint we use will be a normal primer with a flex aid in it, so we can squeeze it and it won't break. I've used it on the XW and it's still fine. That was 5 years ago. And then we're using a satin-based colour matched paint, which is going to be, or has been colour matched to that, which is the colour of the trim we've got now. So they should sort of look like that. Well, these have turned out quite nicely. There's a couple of little white paint bits on them. I can get that off. And we've still got some of that goop on there, but like the door trim stuff. But they've come out very well. That's the one with the painted bits on it, the little... I don't know if that was me or somebody else, but they look good. I'm happy with that. If you don't remember how bad they were, well, this was the worst of all. That's the driver's one, so I'm sort of cheating by showing you the worst one. But let's see if we can make this look like that. Well, that's the driver's door handle. That's turned out well too. Mark there. That's a stain of some sort. I don't know what that is. It looks like a crack, but it's not. The crack's there and also there. But that's good as gold. Now, the only tools I used was this stuff. Selly sugar soap. It's designed for painting walls in your house before you paint, obviously. And it's strong stuff. I mean, you think about a kitchen with cooking grease and muck all over the ceiling and that sort of stuff. If people cook with that range hoods, this will get it off, and you can paint with the water-based paint over it. This is like $3.50 or something for a bottle like that. It's a concentrate. All I did was this much warm water in the laundry trough, blah, 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 and that's all it was. And I used a sponge, half a car washing sponge, and a toothbrush, and that's what it did. And I spent probably a tad over half an hour on all of it, and that's all it was. It literally just wiped off. And some of the grain stuff, I just used the toothbrush and sort of ran around it. Probably the most challenging bit was, this was quite slippery when I was trying to, it kept slipping out of my hand. But that's because I did use a little bit of that in there. But that's turned out absolutely well. So I think what we'll do now is I'm going to do the other trims. You can see my fingers are still wet. I'm going to just get a new Scotch-Brite pad and just rub over these, just to key them a little bit, but I don't want to affect the grain. On the off chance that releases any old trim cleaners or silicons or anything like that, I'll give them just a wipe over with this stuff, and I reckon we're ready for painting them. Take a look at this. When I wet that stays wet. Same with that, but that doesn't. See that? Paint's going to have a lot of trouble sticking to that, so I've got to go over this part again. The rest of it I think is alright. Well, here they are all cleaned up and they feel absolutely beautiful. I've got the, what's it called? The door trim fitting kit for this car, and I'm ready to test all the power window switches in here, get the interior knocked out, and there's a few things I do have to cut corners with that I'll talk to you about as well. Basically, this car's been in bits too long. I've had this car 4 years. I'm not doing the rear bumper at the moment. I'm just going to put the old one on, which is a factory dual exhaust one. This car was a factory dual exhaust car when it was new. That's going on, the boot lid's going on, the interior is getting finished. I haven't bought the console lid yet. We need to get that. So then we can get onto the front guards. XC's boot lid, which still needs a little bit of work. This boot lid, I mean, it feels right now, and I'm picking up everything on it, I think. Bloody hope. I think, yeah, the paper's knackered, it's the last bit of paper I've got. I think it's basically alright. The problem with it was all squared off up here. You can still see a bit of something there. I've still got to give that a bit of attention there. It was all squared up. It looked as though the guy that did the bodywork originally had used 36 or 40 grit or something. He stood there with a grinder just taking the paint off, and it hexed it all. You could see along the when the light hit it, you could see it was all sort of squared off on that curve. And I've got that. I think that's all right. There's a little bit there, just a bit of something. I reckon I can get it with the high fill, or of the high fill. The rest of it, he'd done the same thing. He'd taken all the paint off, but what he'd done is he'd heated the panel up, so it was all warped. And when it was in that black edge, I ran across it with some 120 on that block, and it was high, 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 high like this, and low everywhere else. So it was a bit of sort of tapping around. I've ended up skimming the whole thing in fine fill, and just going over it, and you can kind of see through it in most places, but the guy just made the biggest bloody mess of it, and it's a shame because the panel was actually good from a rust point of view. It was really, really good, but I think we're right there. There's a ducktail there, which we know about. that looks still a bit problematic in this area here. Like it's all right everywhere else, but it's not right there still. And that's a pain in the ass because I want it to be good. Yeah, I can feel that. That's still not right. I might hit it with some coarser stuff. It's kind of picking up. It just doesn't quite feel there. I don't know whether to just bloody paint it anyway. Let's face it, this car's not a show car. The XW was the same, that's full of bloody... full of funny stuff. Although the roof on the XW, I made sure that was right, just because of the way the light hits it. But we got this crown sort of thing here, this ridge I should say, and that's all straight, that's right. It was high there. It's a bit rough over here, I might just go over here again. I have to go and buy some more paper, this is knackered, this stuff, it's had it.
Oh, boot lid time! And the compressor started. Get inside there. There we go. Trying to get in those areas is real hard. I've just got to got the gun like that, just to paint it behind. That will do it.
Here's the problem with painting boot lids and stuff with the structure. I had the same with the bonnet. When you're kind of painting underneath these areas here, it blows a lot of debris out. And I've actually gone over this thing with an air nozzle, but it still dislodges some of it when you're painting. I think it's alright though. I'm not too worried about it. I just need to, the only thing I'm worried about, well I'm not worried about really, is smoothing out. Oh, that's alright, there was a run somewhere. That's not great, that edge. Got to get back to that. There's a bit of muck there. Oh, I can't remember. I have to get it the other way around to have a really... Oh, there it is there. Just got to get that out. And there's just a tiny bit at the top of the skin I need to attend to. But you know what? I'll have this in colour today, the underside of it. And after that, I think just finish the top, paint the top, then the boot's done. We'll stick it straight on the car. So that's looking good. I'll give it 3 coats, normally 5 on the top to allow for wet sanding and that sort of thing. Your first coat being quite thin, you can sort of see through that, but the white does give pretty good coverage. Right, so had to paint this yesterday in 33 degree heat. I've thrown, you can see it's not shiny yet, it's very peely. Well, it's not that peely, it's not bad at all. We'll get that down with 2000. I'm not even going to go for the first stage in 1000. I'll just go straight to 2000. Wet sand it. Buff it. It's quite soft. It's got a lot of paint on it. Yesterday the temperature was such that I had to use a retarder in the when I was reducing it, and that way, like with the heat we had, basically your wet edge isn't wet by the time you come back for the second pass. So very happy with this. I think it's going to be fine. I do have to do the black here, so yeah, we've got to have a look at that now. And also the Starley's Guard. Now I'm going to do this in ISO-free 2-pack clear, and there's a couple of things with this. Any painting sort of advice and that sort of stuff I never give, because I'm not a painter. I'm not a painter at all. I'm a hobbyist, so the best way to get painting tips is actually ask somebody who knows. That's why I always plug Milsom's in Ferntree Gully, because they're suppliers and they have all the products. They're very reasonably priced and they know all this stuff. This is in acrylic, which is single stage. It's going to have a 2-pack clear on top, and normally you would never put a 2-pack product on top of a single, because 2-pack stuff has a hardener. It's a lot more stable than what the single pack is, but this stuff is formulated for use on that sort of thing. So the other thing is, being isocyanate free, it's safe for DIY use, whereas regular 2-pack stuff, you would never crack a tin of that in a garage environment. You need a proper booth and that sort of stuff. Best to get advice from somebody who really knows what they're doing, or someone qualified. I just want some fine line tape so the lip is black sort of around the bottom and into there. I don't know how Ford did it, no idea. We've just had Christmas, but we're doing wine wrapping. What's that bit? There's one more in here. Come on, you son of a gun. There we go. I think I just mucked the other bit up, but she'll be right. You know you're dealing with the backyard because there's newspaper there. But there you go. We've got the black bit done. Now we're going to look at this little Starley Guard. I'm doing this in ISO-free. Now, I didn't wash that down with prep wash, regular prep wash, because it does tend to fisheye when you do that. I noticed that on the bike. I've cleaned this gun out. It doesn't look very clean, but it's all clean inside. There's no acrylic remnants there. Some 2-pack ISO-free stuff. Got some thinner. I've got another tin of that. Bit of hardener and the clear itself. And we're going to mix it up 3 to 1. I'm using this little witch's hat type arrangement. So the first up to there is going to be thinner. No, it's not. But up to there is going to be, what do you call it, clear. Then hardener, then a tiny bit of thinner. And then we'll shoot it. So it's, I might put my mask on for this one. Which means I'm going to be muffled. You won't be able to hear me, but apparently I'll muffle anyway, or I'll mumble anyway. Oh, gee, where's that better? Alright, can you hear me? No? Okay, let's go. Don't use that because it's not clean enough, but that is. Sweet. So this is just for a car that's going to be sitting outside. Regular 2-pack stuff is full of isocyanates, which is carcinogenic. This stuff's designed for DIY. So where are we? This guy here. Got there? That. Oh, great. I think I love that. Yeah, should be that. Hardener. This guy. This is a bit goopy, this stuff. Yeah, not a mess, but what do you do when you make a mess, huh? Bit of thinner, a reducer. You don't do much of that at all. You've got to mix them up. And we can't keep this. Now normally when I'm mixing up a single stage paint, I know exactly what I'm doing by just looking at the consistency. You can see it's quite watery, and your single stage is like that too. But I just mix it in, and occasionally, very rarely when I shoot it, I know straight away that it's not quite thin enough. Okay, I think that'll probably do. Load the gun. be good to go. Let's go do this. Yeah, I guess I've got to get under here first. And you don't load this stuff up. You don't load it up at all. It's sort of easy to stuff it up if you're not careful. A little bit of first coat, and we'll come back in a minute. That'll do for now. We'll give it a second coat in a minute. I don't think I've done that too well. Look at this compared to this. I don't think it matters though, because that trim will cover that. There's a chrome trim that sort of goes, or a stainless one that goes across there. That'll cover quite well, and so I'm not concerned with that. Right, so I'm not going to go too thick. I'm just going to go underneath these armrests. Now the funny thing about this colour, and a lot of people will probably think this, and I certainly thought it, but the armrests by themselves look better when they were that ochre orange colour than this one. But the funny part about it is that in the car, this is going to look head and shoulders better. Whoa, I knocked the air up. It's going to look a lot better. It's sort of like a jade green. That's probably a bit thick. You don't want to go too thick with this stuff either. Anyway, we're just saying, some of this vinyl spray, I got a grey one for the Starley on the gear boot, thinking it'll just peel off. And the gear boot's really flexible and never peeled. It's really, really good. I guess I'll just turn this nozzle down to get a point. Let me see what I'm doing. Do you turn it in? Yeah, you do. Then you turn your air down. Whoop. So I just want to go in those holes. You do not want to see. Oh, that's too much. I don't want to see remnants of friggin' orange anywhere, because that would look really, really dodgy. I'll go in. So I'm just sort of airbrushing in these areas here, just inside where the door handle is, because that is something that will really, really annoy me. Cool. We'll flick them over, do the rest. Right. Still a bit wet, you can see there, a bit sheeny, but that'll come down. I think they're going to be alright. The main thing is to sort of get in around where the power window switches are, and in there. They're the bits that will become very obvious and quite bad if we don't do it properly. See up there in that one? It's a bit thin. I'll give that another hit. But otherwise, I think they're pretty much okay. I might just lick over that one again. And maybe in there too. Got to go and meet my daughter for lunch though, and I'm all sweaty because it's over 30 degrees. Bit of an average result, but beggars can't be choosers, eh? Dirty rag off the floor. As long as the top looks sort of, it's got a dimple there. And the chrome's average. This is made up of wire brushed rattle can, the back of it. They sort of look like that when you get it back from chrome anyway. This is rattle can used a few years ago now, lying under the car. Powder coated brackets. We've got one broken mount here, as in captive nut. It's going to have to get creative with that. But it's just going to have to do for now. I can't do much about it. So, gee, they're bloody heavy. by the time you get all the bumper irons and everything in, those things weigh a ton. So I'm just going to polish around here as best I can. That top edge. This bumper's pretty crap really. It looks like it's been pushed in, and I've mucked around with it, and the gap there underneath the indicator is less than that side. Look, I think I will be revisiting this, but at the moment it's just going to have to stay on. Just got Charlie to come out. It was supposed to be 32 today. It was 44 in the garage, so I've been sort of drinking water all day, and I wanted to do it earlier, but my daughter and I ended up going to lunch, and if I had a brain in my head, I would have set this up better with the drilled holes before I painted it, and I didn't because I was stupid. But I'm just nervous about it. I'm hitting that trim there, but it looks good over here when it's sharp. But it's still too... It's got to go forward a bit more on this side because that's sitting too proud. It's not bad there though. Mine looks like a blasted car, eh? So, pardon me, just fiddling. I reckon that'll probably do it. Okay, that shut line's buggered now. That's got to go closer. This one's right out. What to do? I can get that on the striker probably, but it's just a little bit close over there. It's not that bad though. I think for now, I might just put the catch in. I've got the seal, but I'm not putting that in yet. It just has to go a little bit further forward. It doesn't fit too bad though. It's not fitting very well, but it's the best I can do for now. I'm not putting the key in or anything like that until I've wet sanded it. I can't do much more tonight because it's dark, and I wanted to get the door cards done for this one because I've got the plastic, which is the table protector stuff from Spotlight. It was on special, it was like 40% off. So I paid, I think, $4.20 a metre or something. It's the clear stuff that you stick on your dining room table to stop the kids messing it up when they're little. And I can't do the kick trims and the B-pillar trims or anything like that until I'm going to get those seatbelts re-webbed. And that means then all this can go on, and door seals can go on, all that sort of stuff. And I haven't even got those yet. And I do have to get that other kick trim. Now this wire is extracted from a spare loom because this one's busted. So we can insert that in here, solder that up, and then get all these doors sorted out. And I've got the armrest finished over here. And we painted a guard for the Starling. It's completely a different colour. It's good on the top, but down the side it's going to look too rare, so I don't know what we're going to do with that. But yeah, the armrests are done, and so I won't bother showing the rest of the plastics being sorted out. I can do them quite quickly. But I wanted to have that for this one, but guess what? I haven't. But at the end of the day, the bumper's average, the boot fit, or the deck lid, boot lid, whatever you want to call it, fit is average, but it'll do for now. Whatever the case, it does look more like an XC Falcon, and I'm fairly happy with that. And I'm also happy that this is an XC bumper, not a ZH. I thought it was a ZH Valet one. I think they're sort of more pointy in the corners. I don't know why I thought that was a ZH one, but I've got it anyhow. So I think that's going to do for this one. I'm not going to bother with any other stuff on it. I have a special sticker. There's that one there. Yeah, can you see it? There's one to go here too, which is the Manual Gearbox Preservation Society, because no one drives stick anymore. I think that's quite funny. So I think on that note, I'm going to put the XW away and the Plymouth away and start cleaning up this mess, because we've got a day of 40 something degrees tomorrow, and I might just sit it out. There's Rosie. So say goodbye, Rosie.
Goodbye.
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 All right, thanks very much for watching. Enjoy Classic, and I'll see you soon.